Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Hi, Viking Cat and Paul and Nuno, and Scott and Vincewell and Mr. Clown, Bill Brothers, Hey Maker Viking, PF Dennis. So I see a lot of firsts and thirds and whatever. I want to recognize and thank Mr. Clown for being the first member of my channel. So thank you very much. Yes, I finally turned it on. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Squirrel Brain. So today, we're going to continue build on the Enraged Rabbit Carrot Feeder project. So, Enraged Rabbit Project Carrot Feeder. Hey, Andres, Kenneth, Thomas, Q, and Pose? I'm not sure. Sorry about that. Hey, Frenchie, Narwhal, Derek. Today is kind of going to be a cleanup because I'm in a weird spot in waiting for a few things. Bill Brothers, thank you for being the number 2 member of my channel. Appreciate it. I won't keep counting them. I promised. There are a lot of things that need to be kind of finished, some PCBs to assemble. I got the new washers for the gates on the device itself, but I'm waiting on a few things. It's going to go on my switch wire here, and as part of that, I'm going to completely rewire the switch wire. So I reached out to Galileo, and they're sending me a harness for this because this still has the old silicone wiring in it. So thanks for coming, member Derek. So, hi, Patrick from the Philippines. It's 1 a.m. there. Woo. Andres, thanks for becoming a member. The video just hung. Is everyone else okay? And how's the music? How's everything else going? I think everything's good. Hey, Jorg. Am I anywhere close to saying your name correctly? Troy. And how do you say your name? Tohos? Thank you for becoming a member. Same with you, James. Thanks for becoming a member. Might get a lot of those today. This has been a long time coming, I know. I'm gonna close my door. Give me a second. Family's starting to move around. So, hi Alex and Christian and Low Tech Greg, Wolfgang. Okay, where do we want to start? Thanks, Beartastic. Jorg. Okay, I think that's what I've been saying. Awesome. Hey, Savarus from Athens, Greece. Awesome. And Max from Munich. Awesome. Thomas, thanks for coming a member. I think let's play around with these gates because I don't think that'll take long to at least see if they're better. That's probably true, Mr. Clown. So I ordered the ones that are listed on the BOM for the ERCF from Bolt Depot here in the US. They are a zinc coated washer, but maybe they're a little more consistent and maybe the magnetic properties are a little different from the steel ones I've been using. I also want to start a print here. So let me hit a button over here and then I'll come back and then I'll hit another button to actually start the print. So that button is done. Let me see. Alex the Punk, thanks for becoming a member. Okay. Get organized here. A few of these out. I don't know how many I'll need. I'll try to use the ones that are already on the printer. I mean, on the device, just in case. Alex S., thanks for becoming a member. Okay, let's see if we can get to these. I think we can. So what we're looking at here is these per channel, these gate pieces have a washer in them. And the carriage here has a magnet on the back side of it. As this moves across, it's supposed to lift that washer out of the way. That hole there is a filament path. So, and there's a magnet underneath here to hold the, supposed to bring the washer back down. So the magnet on the carriage is supposed to overcome this magnet and lift that washer out of the way so the filament can go through. I suspect, I'm not sure, that washer is there so that just drag on the filament from the drive gears in here doesn't push the filament out the front and get in the way of the carriage being able to move. So that's in the way to keep that from happening. So let's remove, actually let's take one of my test pieces here and see how these move. And then let me grab a couple of magnets. I think I have some appropriate magnets in here. Oh. I think it's actually happened. I think I'm out of 2mm or 3x6 magnets. Where might I have some of those? It is... I know I have a... Oh, let me start this print. Oh no, it is doing the next stage. Let's see here. How am I out of those? That's not it. Well, I'll just use some of these 3x2s or 6x2s. Oh, I missed a few things. Sorry about that. NH3D, $5 Canadian. Thanks again for the content. My LDOV2 kit should be here soon. 2 to 3 weeks. I'm dying. And wait, get ready. I'll need the help come programming time. Yep. Let us know. There's lots of people who are willing to help. Troy, yours makes a satisfying click click as the head moves. Okay, that's the goal, is to make a click click noise as the head is moving. So we need to get there. We need to spend some time in the building and in the prep work to save us headaches later. Mine is not doing that. So there's a couple of them that do. Like that one does. So more like Charlie's Chocolate Factory, a bunch of nut bars in here. Yes, and I'm leading it all. Alex Punk, $25. Thank you for answering my onslaught of questions on Discord. No problem. Randomness Messes, thanks for becoming a member. Sanity, thanks for becoming a member. Okay, so let's take a test piece here and a screwdriver, kind of pry them in place, and magnification. These are still small parts. So this is one of the gates, gatekeepers, whatever. Tracy Moon, thanks for coming to member. Now I have not filed on these. There is a lip on them. It may be a good idea to, but I want to see how this fits in here without doing that. Just going to put this in. And it moves well. Let me hit the button to print on this job I'm trying to get going. There we go. It's all to do there. Hey, Joker Nut. Welcome. I suspect the washer's moving inside the cartridges. Oh boy, that really... Oh, sorry. So if you see here, there's the washer in there. And then you move the magnet. Oh, that really grabs on it. So that's actually promising. I don't think, and it's dropping back when I'm done. So let's give that a try. Joker Roy Berry, thanks for coming member. May I ask what is the clicking you should be coming? Oh, okay, thank you, I missed that. So yeah, the motion of this washer moving, you should actually hear it hitting the magnet head. And I'm sure any noise canceling is cutting it from the stream. But yeah, that's moving way better than anything I had on here before. So I'm encouraged. That's also a stack of magnets, but it's falling back, which it wasn't doing before. Hey, BBs. Hi, Rainer. Okay, so now we're going to gently pop these gates out. And I'm just going to do all of them because I want them all to be the same. And I'm using the black washers in there right now. I want to switch them all to these zinc-coated washers. And I think I am still going to take a very light swipe on them with the file. Just to get rid of any little bit of spot that could. And this is always so hard to... My finger's just a little sweaty. There we go. Just get a little bit of that edge from the stamping, because these are all stamped. And there's a sharp side that's from that. I'm just going to go and just grab 4 of these. And one more. The other thing, I grabbed the calipers because I wanted to see consistency here. So if I grab a random, those that I haven't filed yet, and just go 0.0 or 0.53 millimeters and 6.96. Yeah. 0.52 and I got an angle there. 6.94. Just do a few of these. 0.53, 6.95, 0.53, 6.93, 0.55, 6.96. Let's just do thickness of the ones I filed and see if we get more consistency. 0.47. 0.50. 0.47. Hi, John. 0.46. Now let's grab unknown several of the black washers just from my bin. We go 0.73, 6.93, 0.58, 6.65, 6.67. Hi, Charlie. 0.58. Hey, Axsmith. 0.73. 6.95. We're just going to do a couple more and call it good. 0.71. 6.94. So diameter seems pretty consistent, but the thickness is quite a bit different. 0.72. We got 6.91. We've got 0.5 to 0.7 millimeters thick, where we were seeing a Much smaller deviation in the other one. So consistency is nicer on the zinc ones. So we'll see how this goes. Let me move these out of Charlie's swipe range. No, those aren't for you. Let's see. Max. Hi, Max. The washers work much better than what you would guess from looking at the bad quality stamping small burrs. The zinc ones that I bought from Bolt Depot seem so far to be much better. Yep. Dilo, thanks for becoming a member. Oh yes, I did do one. I need to add some more emojis. Figured that was an easy one. Okay, let's take this. Nadir, hello. And very gently pry. Hopefully do this while it's in the printer. Just kind of. I don't want to have to pull. Oh shoot, I just put a big old scratch in it. I don't want to have to pull this. There we go. Hoping I can pull this out without damaging it. That's not for you. I don't want to have to pull this whole thing. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. I think that was okay. I don't think I broke anything. Let's see how this does with this. Yeah, it is not nearly. Oh, sorry. I was terrible. So this is not. I mean, the other one was pulling up way earlier than that. I have to get right on that. And then even then, that one's not moving. So let's pull this out. Grab one of these. Their tail. Okay, now let's try. Yeah, that's. I'm way further away and still having a much better effect there. So I am encouraged. Let's see. Charlie's trying to eat the carrot, yeah. Hey, Ari. There we go. Okay, back in place. So that's not for you. Oh yeah. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that is definitely better. Hi, Nathan. So does shim equal spacer? Sometimes, usually. There we go. Oh, that one fell out, so that's good. Try to keep all these. I'm just going to test each of these just to see how they respond. It didn't fall back down as easy, but the other magnet should grab it. So let's find out. Let's just put it in. Hi, Pavel. Oh, yeah. Immediately better. I can hear them moving as I move the carriage. No, that's not. What are you doing? That's not food or toy. These are, there we go. Trying to pull these out without breaking anything. I think I'm mostly succeeding. Reckle, thanks for becoming a member. Oh, where'd the magnets go? Where'd you put the magnets, Charlie? There they are, right underneath you. Yeah, way better. Yeah, every one of them is pulling. I can hear it clicking, and everyone is falling right back into place. Yeah, I am happy. Lesson to really check those washers. Hey, Dark Neutrino. Last one. Oh, there's a magnet. Everything is a toy when sufficiently bored. Yes, that is true for me and Charlie. Okay, here's the test. All of them are in. That didn't take too long. What am I hitting to keep me from getting to that last? I'm hitting on something. It's not. Oh, I got a connector in the way. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but every single one of them is making a click. And as I move away from it, they're down in the way again. Yes, this is good. This is good. I will call that done for now. It's the clicking that you guys were saying happens on every movement. Every single one is doing it. Paul, thanks for becoming a member. Awesome. Okay. So, this is the project. Just kind of a recap. We went right into working on that. The GitHub page is here at Git Enraged Rabbit Project. Tushar Y2 specs. I'm not sure the question there. Vince Wall, why not just use shims instead of stamped washers? Availability, I think, is the big one. I couldn't find. I did actually go out looking for steel shims for exactly what you'd think, a more consistent quality, and I can't find them. So, but these, I mean, that is the key. Those zinc-plated steel washers immediately pretty much worked. Hi, John. I only have one tier. I just want, I really want a means to do members only streams. I want to, and they're not going to be, I mean, similar to what Nero does. I don't want to lock content behind this. they're going to be hangout and Q&A type streams, and anything of note that may come up with those will definitely be shared with the world. So Chris, welcome to my, thanks for becoming a member. Hi Slink Zero from Germany. Gary, thank you for becoming a member. Yes. Two spectacles. Oh, so I have two pairs of glasses here. So these are just, these are a very mild prescription for, and they're computer glasses, really. They're at the 18-inch range. They work, I need them pretty much to be able to read my watch or my phone without really squinting. These are just generic readers, but they're a 5 times magnification. So I use them for close-up work because these don't work well for that. I don't want bifocals. Nathan, I think it's a little bit of both. I think the material quality is probably better. They're probably a higher grade steel, and the machining consistency it seems to be better. And that's probably all to start with the stock that they stamp them out of. So it's better. Hi Charles, thanks for coming a member. Airsoft gearbox shims, as long as they're not stainless steel. So that's something you want here. I mean, although stainless steel has some degree of magnetism depending on the grade, you want as much magnetic attraction as possible on these. Hi Pavel, thanks for coming a member. Bifocals or progressive suck for this kind of work. I can imagine. I've tried using, and they work for the temporary. I bought these DeWalt safety glasses, and they have a magnification component to them. And they're okay, but I wouldn't want to use them all the time. Q, thanks for becoming a member. Okay, Charlie, I'm trying to over pay attention to you so you can go sleep. He is loving this though. And of course we're getting hair everywhere. Okay, you ready to go to sleep? Looks like it. There you go. I had mentioned I was starting a print. Let's see if we can bring that up. Does it work? Hey, it works. Oh, there's plenty of fur here. A little bit of live print action. I have been printing a lot. I've been printing a whole lot this week. I'll show you. I got parts and parts. Let's see. My cat would scratch you all over if you did that to him. Charlie is such a tolerant cat. Such a tolerant cat. Sanity, that's not underwire. Not yet. That's coming. I've got a wave of projects here coming up. So we'll see where everything fits in. So the blue was Sparta Sparkle Fluorescent Blue. Sparta 3D Sparkle Fluorescent Blue. The gray was KVP Graphite ABS. All of this is ABS. And this green is a custom color that one of the Discord members, C. Lee, had made from KVP. And he's referring to it as super green. and I really like it. So, yeah, I'm very, very, very busy. So let's go through this. And I think, aside from wiring, I think that concludes the assembly of the carrot feeder itself. Now there's a mount. I need to determine which one I want. Hey, Steve. Oh, hey, Modbot. Welcome. Hoping to get to printing on ERCF parts soon. Looks like yours is coming along great. Yeah, today, really finding the correct washers for these gates here. I mean, it looks like we found them. I can hear it. So that was a critical part that we've spent quite a bit of time on. I was trying to make generic black oxide coated washers work. And a tip for you is make sure you buy the bomb washers from Bolt Depot. They are the key. So Nadir, this is all piff. No, that's just for projects that are coming up. I'm building 2 V2.4s and a Trident in the next 4 to 6 weeks. So anyone have suggestions for a color to go with the Paramount Racing Green? Are you looking for loud, or are you looking for Racing Green to be the accent, to be the focus? So have everyone say hi, Modbot. Just got my LDO 2.4 kit and started building yesterday. This is a lot of fun. They are a real lot of fun. I went self-source route. For the rabbit feeder here, this is based on a V1.0 kit from DFH. One of the other Voron team members bought the kit from DFH and decided he wasn't going to build it, so gave me the kit. I've purchased the individual parts to make sure that I can build it as a version 1.1. So, Racing Green as the accent. I mean, then your typical black, sparkle black, a dark gray, or I wonder if it'll depend on frame color too. What frame color are you going with? Okay, let's go back to the instructions. Let's go back. So we're going to go back to the manual. Okay, so we were at, in the manual, we chose to go with the Galileo extruder. And this is that printed in the accents on the switch wire this is going on. When I started this project, I didn't know which printer I was going with, so I went with just the Voron red and black color scheme. This is a Galileo that we assembled on last stream. We're going to partially disassemble this and put the filament sensor in here. So there is a sensor. The drive gears are right here. There is a sensor on the hot end side of the drive gears that's used as an end stop to confirm that filament has made it to the hot end. So, and it uses this little Hall effect sensor. And the printed part that Charlie had nothing to do with its disappearance last stream. It was sitting in a random spot that I have no idea why it was there, but I found it when I was cleaning up. We use that with some heat shrink that I haven't put on yet. The sensor goes in here and a JST connector goes here, and this is just a jig to help solder it in place. So we're going to work on that. I'm gonna get rid of the printer cam for now. We can come back to that later. Big old clump of cat hair. There. You might not have been able to see it before, but I think you can see that. Whew. Okay. Go back here. So there is, if you notice on this, there's a shape to the Hall effect sensor. It's got chamfered corners on one side. We need to pay attention to that, and I'm definitely going to need my magnifiers for that. So let's go back here. So this is the tool head sensor. We're going to need some heat shrink tube. So I've got some small diameter heat shrink tube. We're just going to use black, I guess. I hope it's small enough diameter. And what, oh, I think I moved up. So this is Afterburner. So let's go down to the Galileo. Afterburner clockwork, we don't need this. Galileo. So we're gonna put one piece of heat shrink just on the middle pin, and that should protect us adequately. And then a JST XH PCB mount connector. I've got a bin of those. Just a little Amazon sourced kit. I need a 3-pin. So this should set in this pocket here. That's not quite, but I think it'll be okay. I wonder why that doesn't fit in there. Oh, there it goes. I had it upside down. So these connectors have this. This is a springy locking feature for when the other side of the connector snaps in. There's a lip on this part, so this goes up inside and then snaps into place. Okay. Making sure we get that correct. Where are we at? Everybody still there? Anyone else have 5 of those kits lying around, all missing only the 2-pin connectors? Usually it's the 3-pin for me, or the 4 because of steppers. Andrew, thanks for becoming a member. Let's see here. This and my soldering iron. Let's move this out of the way. Okay, so we talked about last time. That keeps falling down. I need to figure out what to do with that. We talked last time, we're gonna do a lot of soldering today. And I had some suggestions for making a solder extractor, smoke, the fume extractor. And I had a lot of suggestions, and thank you. But with everything else I was working on, I didn't get a chance to build anything. But we still want to be safe. So I'm gonna cobble together a setup. So I'm gonna set that there. And I'm going to grab a random 90mm sun-on fan that I've connected some leads to, like that. And then we're gonna actually use my 12-volt power supply. And then, let's see. Oh, just so you can get a view. There we go. Woohoo! And it's nice and quiet. Modbot, thanks for coming a member. So that is, I'm sure you can't hear that. I can't even hear that. And I was testing it earlier. I was feeding solder onto the iron and it was pulling it straight through. So the other part of this, I don't just want to distribute that those solder fumes to the room, I've got an open door 2 feet from me right here, and I've got another fan right in the entrance there, pulling anything that this pushes that way. So let me turn this fan on. I think that won't be audible either. How many members do I have now? That's a good question. I don't know. Can I easily find out? Um, 27. Let me catch up. I just do the safety breath holding technique. That's what I've always done. It's not the best, but if I'm gonna do this on on camera, I'd better practice proper safety protocol as much as we can. I have a question on the powder coated steel sheet. It has PEI applied on top, or is it just powder? The powder is usually PEI based. Curious what the difference between the Galileo and the Clockwork 2. The core difference is that there's a planetary gear set in here. I'm not going to take I might get it apart far enough to show you, but there are 3 small gears in here that rotate this housing here is a ring gear, or what would you call that? The output shaft from the stepper has a small 10-tooth gear on it. It sits in the middle of 3 planetary gears that ride on the inside of teeth of this housing. And that affects a 7-to-1, I think. This is configured. I think it's a 7-to-1 gear ratio, 7 or 7.5 to 1, going to the Bondtech drive gears. All this time I thought those were speaker plugs. Basically, just get one note. So, Modbot. Oh, what am I missing? Modbot, thanks for your help with the switch wire. Your panel jig saved a ton of time and frustration when putting the panels together. Awesome. I'm glad you found that helpful. Linus, thanks for becoming a member. I just zip tied one of the carbon filters from the 2.4 bomb. I was looking for those, but I think this is fine. I've got an open door. I've got 2 fans directing the fumes out. We're good. Could you just use a Nevermore? Maybe. I don't have one. Well, the one I have is my friend's borrowing that printer. Let me make sure. Oh, now I'm caught up. Sun gear and planetary gears. Thank you. That's the difference between the ring, the outer gear, and the small gears. Is there going to be any changes to the X carriage from R2 to Clockwork 2? Clockwork 2 has its own X carriage. So yes, Clockwork 2 X carriage is different from the Afterburner Clockwork 1 and Afterburner X carriage. Sanity, if you remember, I used a little jig that spaced the brackets for the switch wire frame back the 3 or 4 millimeters needed. I put it, that is one thing that is on my, I think it's on my GitHub, on my user mods. I think it's there. If it's not, it needs to be. Delmar and PF Dennis, thank you for becoming members. Okay, let's keep going. So we are going to follow this direction and paying attention to the chamfers on the sensor. The shape of the printed part actually reflects that as well. I'm not sure if it would go in backwards. So let's do this. Let's go here. Try to get a camera here. And see how we can set this up. Well, I'm not going to turn the fan on yet. I'm going to put this piece in here, And then we're going to grab a length of, I don't know how much exactly we're going to need. We're just going to grab a length of heat shrink. Put that on the middle pin, like that. And then with the chamfer side up, and maybe some assistance with some tweezers, put that in there. And grab my tweezers. We're going to bend these pins over to the there. Okay, now I'm going to try to hold this with my fingernail, get these angles right. Just fiddly. Okay, I am going to start by soldering one of those in place. I wonder if you'll actually be able to see the smoke getting out of the way. Yorgam, thanks for becoming a member. Modbot, that Charlie's Angels was the overwhelmingly most common suggestion for names. I've been talking about this since December. Okay, so tin the tip. There we go. Feed the solder into the part, the heated part. Now that's going to hold in place a little better, and I can more accurately bend the other wires into place. Just fiddly. Oh yeah, that smoke goes right out. That one. And I'm gonna do a little better job of getting this one on top of there. There we go. That's about perfect. Kaylee, thanks for becoming a member. KF and Ari, thank you everyone that just became a member. Okay, let's take a look at this. I don't know if you can tell. All of those. Let's see if I can get that to soldered in there well. Now, how are you supposed to get this thing out without bending the snot out of it? Because it's on a little lip there. I am just the assistant to the Charlie show, and like any good supervisor, he's sitting over there sleeping. Open the fan. I mean, open the fan. There we go. Just snuck it out of there. So that should be in the correct length and position. So let's set that aside. Actually, I'm gonna hit this with a heat gun real quick to shrink the rest of that heat shrink. Ugh. I don't know if this is too loud or... There we go. Okay, so that's going to sit over there. We can move our soldering equipment out of the way. The extractor was open. Yeah. Charlie's in charge. Yes. You'll need to put that quote on the t-shirt like any other good supervisor. He's in the corner sleeping. Maybe build a chat-activated Charlie feeder instead of the ERCF. There we go. You don't hear anything? Awesome. Okay. So I got a little anxious and assembled this completely last time, but it was a good overview of how the Galileo assembles. So let's take it apart. Oh, do we need to? I probably want to glue that in place. So let's actually get this front piece off just so we can make sure that everything is good. I think we can just pull that off and set this aside. Pull all these pieces out. ER. I got nothing. Okay, so this is custom. This is a custom piece. There is, I believe, a magnet and a washer needed in here. So I need to file down another one of those washers. And then that JST connector sets right there, and the Hall effect sensor goes into that pocket. Does ERCF have an endless spool mode now? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Okay, grab one of these washers. And just do a little bit of making sure the stamping burrs don't get in the way. Is there an M3 that presses the sensor in place? I'm not sure. We're going to look at the instructions here. Let's see if we go here. Is there a newer manual than what I'm using? Let's check. Let's go to the documentation. And ERCF manual was last updated 27 days ago, so we're still good. So let's go on to the next piece. So we did this. Okay, so now that gets bent into that hole. So insert the sensor in its dedicated hole. Beware of its orientation and check that the sensor is fully inserted. Secure the sensor position using an M3 by 8 screw directly into the plastic. There must be a feature in here that presses. Okay, so there's an M3 by 8 hole here, and that secures the sensor that goes in like this. So I think I'm gonna do that and hold it in place, and then grab an M3 by 8 And there should be, according to that manual, a plastic feature, so I'm not going to crush the... I'm just going to thread that in until it just barely stops. Oh. What did I do? Oh, okay. So I threaded in, I heard a crack. It wasn't the sensor, it was the plastic pieces releasing the whatever bits. So now it should be, at some point, it should be holding the, maybe I've got it too far. Let's undo this. That wasn't pushed in all the way. Let's get some magnification. See what we got there. Okay, there is a piece there. Let me make sure it is moved. And this is behind it. I don't think it was behind it. Let's bend this a little bit to help. There we go. Now it's in place. So there, I don't know if you guys can see this. Let's try. Oh, let me get some added light here. There we go. So in this pocket is a little slug that this M3x8 is pressing against. Behind that is the little spot that the sensor goes into. So I can see that it's back there now. I can tighten this down just a little bit until it touches. Now it's held in place. Now this bends into the spot there. Now I think that just gets held in when we bolt the two halves of the thing together. So I think we are good. Just force bend with a flathead. I'm just going to bend a couple of these pins down towards that. Now that sets in there okay. Yeah. Just paying attention to that the sensor has to seat all the way in there so that the plastic piece that this M3x8 pushes against holds the sensor in place. You can see that plastic feature in the manual here, right here. That M3x8 is pushing against this, which is pushing against the Hall effect sensor. Okay, PTFE to the hot end. Beware that the PTFE tube that goes to the hot end is 15 millimeters shorter for this version of Galileo clockwork. So I think that means that the regular clockwork PTFE length will work, because without all of this, the Galileo is 15 millimeters longer. So I think that means there's no change I have to make to the tool head side. Coming from Evanville, many Vorons before, what would you say difficulty level seems like so far on this? Seems like very specific placements, even more so than on the full printer builds. Absolutely. So the build on this is not difficult, but the little details will catch you. I mean, really, the fitment, the print quality requirements are much more strict. So all these, like these little gates that have to slide in, I think you can see right there. That little tiny piece of plastic keyed into the module here. There's a lot of that, of little things that slip together and have to have a precise fit. So your tuning has to be on point. So that's why we spent so much time. I mean, we probably spent an hour just on those little washers, right? Between the 3 streams, figuring it out. And now that would have been significantly less had I had good washers to begin with. But there is a tolerance test that's built in, and I did run it. This is the test piece that it comes with. And it has, if you print this and then you print one of the top pieces, one of these, you can test its fit here, magnet fit, M5 nut fit, the 8mm rod fitment, and a heat set insert, and then a couple of different orientations for filament paths. Okay, let's go back to the instructions. So we're going to insert this washer that I worked on. Make sure the washer you're using is steel. It has to be a magnetic, so no plastic washer. If the washer is stamped, remove the burrs using a file. And that's what I did. And that falls right in. And I can see it. There's no way I can get a view of this for you. Sorry, had to sneeze. So there's a washer that goes in here. Well, oh yeah, okay. You can see it in there. Oh, I'm terrible at this angle. Let's get in front of something white. Ooh, ooh, ooh. There, you can see it sticking down in the filament path. No problem, my butt. Okay, washers in there. And then the magnet polarity. The Hall sensor used is sensible to the magnet polarity, hence the magnet orientation will impact the sensor behavior. Testing the sensor. Once the M3 steel washer and the magnet are inserted, do not assemble the whole tool head nor install it. Go to page 82 to check that the sensor is working first. So there's a magnet that needs to go in there. And this is the LGX instruction. So if you're using this with an LGX, there are bits to do here. We're going to skip these. Testing the sensor. Make sure the washer is properly inserted into the filament path as shown. And it is. Otherwise, you may have to clean the washer slot. So I'm going to see if this, if I turn it over, it falls out. So it's moving in there. It's moving in there freely. So that's good. Okay, so we're probably going to have to test this later. So we'll insert the magnet when we actually put this on the printer. So right now I'm going to reassemble the Galileo just so this is done, and we'll disassemble it again later to take care of that. So that goes there. That goes in there. That sits there. Hi, G Funny Money. Welcome. The longer screw goes there. Yep. And then, oop. There we go. That's all there's to it. Now I still need my tensioner here. I need to find, I'll probably find one of the fancy little LDO ones, but you can see this, especially when this is clamped in, the Hall effect connectors right there, nice and easy to get to. Okay. Patrick, thanks for becoming a member. Where are we at? We're doing well. I'm doing well. It's a nice day here, and especially with the door open, not getting too hot yet. We're printing some parts. What brand of filament are the orange parts of the trident? This is Filament Orange ASA. So I chose that because I built this trident, or you said trident. You didn't say switch wire, but I'm going to answer it anyway because I started. The switch wire is Filament Orange ASA. When we were developing the switch wire, I was converting a Prusa, so I thought it was nice and appropriate to use the Prusa Orange. The trident is Sparta 3D Sparkle Fluorescent Blue. And that's where I got confused. What brand of filament are the orange parts of trident? I've got orange parts on the switch wire. I'm printing parts for the trident. Wires got crossed. G Funny Money, thanks for becoming a member. Okay, where are we at? Let's go back to the instructions, see where we're at. I think we're at the point where we can do some electronic soldering and assembly. So with sensor test, we can't do yet. And I think that's pretty close. Everything's connections. The ERCF Easy Board. That's what we're going to assemble today. Dead Bob, I will be assembling a trident here, hopefully within the next couple of streams we'll be starting, which might interrupt this project, but that's okay. We got all this, and I need to find a heat sink for the voltage regulator. I don't have one right now. Okay, so let's do the assembly of the Easy Board. Let's get this stuff out of the way. I bought this Easy Board from the flea market on the Discord, and I don't remember the name of the seller, but he was out of Las Vegas, and I have no complaints. It came through. I haven't fully checked all the inventory, but I think it's all here. Have the little ESP whatever processor, a circuit board, bunch of connectors, and components. So everything's through hole. Should be nice and easy. Let's go to the... There's a separate tier count, I think, designed this. There's a separate GitHub ERCF Easy Board. There are no instructions, but I think we'll be okay. Just going by the pictures for the most part, pictures and components. Hi, PJ. Rick James, thanks for becoming a member. We got a bomb of components. My 3D CNC PNP, thanks for becoming a member. You will need to bend a fin and remove a pin of the TO220 heatsink. So I need to get a heatsink. I don't have one. Make sure the PCB has no bare traces underneath or apply an ice insulator before. Okay. And then there's just configuration stuff. If you want to support my work, PCB way, hopefully who I bought it from helped support this. I didn't check that and I probably should have. And then there are pictures of the board. So there's no specific installation or assembly instructions, but thanks, Tracy Moon. Appreciate that. There are no specific instructions, but I think we can manage. I do have a question. I was looking at things, and maybe someone in here can help, or I can try to just infer from the pictures and instructions. So I didn't think, I forgot to ask. So let's pull the processor out of here. It is a little module here with a USB-C connector on it. And that solders to this spot on the board. Now you can just lay this here and solder it directly to the board, or it includes headers that you can solder and space it up off the board. I noticed that there are 4 pins here, 4 pads there, and an associated 4 pads there. Does anybody know if those need to make a connection? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar enough with these. I don't think space for the USB is too big of a concern because it sticks out on the edge. Jason Cox, thanks for becoming a member. That's only for factory testing. I'm just curious why it's on the board itself. Okay, let's get a few things out here. Worked fine on mine without getting them connected. Okay, just wanted to check. I wasn't 100%. What module is this? It is a Arduino XIAO. Does that give you enough information? I'm very green on this stuff. Just probe points. Okay, let me grab, I'm gonna use my fancy PCB pan of ice. This thing's kind of neat because I have a lot of flexibility in what I can clamp to. So see, it gets things up. So we're gonna go like this, I think. Flash the clipper before you solder directly. Okay, maybe I'll save that for, maybe I'll save this thing for last. We'll assemble the rest of this because we're not going to be actually hooking this up yet anyway. So let's get the rest of this. We'll solder the tool head board. We'll get my professional fume extractor hooked up. See where we're at. That looks pretty decent. Okay. The pads are for programming the bootloader. Okay, thank you. And we're basically going to go by this. Pictures, for, I think this is enough. The polarity for the capacitors is listed on the board. The values are listed on the underside of the board. I don't think we need an assembly instructions. We can figure this out. So let's get through. I want to install components first. So capacitors, jumper pins probably, resistors, and then we'll install connectors and headers. And then probably one of the last things I'll install is that TO220 device. Nope, let's go here. So let's do, I'm gonna need magnification for all of this. So if I miss anything in chat, so we're gonna start probably with the 10K resistors underneath the stepper drivers. Let me grab my pliers so I can do some proper I'm just bending the pins, pre-bending the pins for the one. There are little jigs you can print for bending resistor leads. There's only 4 of them. Not worth it. There we go. And resistors are not polarized. So no worry about which way this goes in. But for my own thing, I put the them all in the same orientation with the color code in the same direction. For no reason other than because. Hi, 3DP Freak. There we go. And I'm gonna just bend these slightly out of the way to hold them in place. So I'm just there. Now they'll hold when I go to solder it on the other side. We're just placing components right now. Okay, C3 are these electrolytic capacitors. So these electrolytic capacitors are polarized. They're indicated with a stripe for the cathode, the negative side. And that would be the solid half on the footprint. So that would go in there right like that. Is that Zhao? Pronounced as a Chinese word meaning small. Thank you. So how enraged has a rabbit become? It is not quite enraged yet. Okay. And then same thing, I'm just gonna bend these just off to the side a little bit so they hold in place. Okay, we got C1 and C2. Uh-oh. I thought there were 2 of those. Why do I have... So C1 and C2 are the... C1 and C2 Oh, one's a 0.1 microfarad and one's a 0.33 microfarad. So now how do we figure out? So let's see what we can figure out. We have got a BC 104. So BC 104, let's see what value that is. BC 104 capacitor. 104 is a 0.1 microfarad. Is that one of the values we're looking for? It is. Let's do another check. 0.1 microfarad. Yep. So I'm going to call that good. So the orange yellow capacitor is the 0.1 microfarad. And that goes in C2. So C2, these are ceramic. They're, what do you call them? Well, ceramic capacitor. They are not polarized. C2. Those slightly out of the way. And that remaining capacitor, I cannot read any value on it to confirm. Even with magnification, I can't read what that says. I wonder, here, let's have a little bit of fun with a new toy. Let's move this out of the way. Let me get this. A little bit of fun with a new toy, just because. And is Steven here? Obvious notes. Thanks for coming a member. There we go. Okay. Now this has a HDMI output. I haven't set up for it yet though. So let's just see if we can read. And that's going to be very annoying. My neighbor's dog is deciding to be... Oh, there we go. So let's focus. Aha! Oh, you can see that from the main camera. Obvious notes. I've had the subs since December, but I just haven't set it up until now. You guys finally convinced me. So 334. So a 334 capacitor is probably what it says, the 0.33 microfarad. Let's confirm. Let's go 334. 334 capacitor. What is this capacitor value table? Can we... Where is it? Code 333. Where's 334? 334, 0.33 microfarad. Cool. Just an excuse to play with the new toy. One day I'll get this set up to where I can output it to OBS. Let's get this out of the way. For the caps, XYZ, XY times 10 to the Z picofarads. Okay. That makes sense. So these are not polarized, but a little bit of OCD. I'm going to put the printing to the same side on them. Even though you can't read it without a extreme magnification. There we go. Lumby, hello from Germany. Hi. Cloves from Brazil, welcome. How much did it cost? I may have overheard it. That one I bought from Amazon US. You can get it for like 2/3 or half the price on AliExpress. But I paid about $150 for it, I think. That was a bit much. I don't know. I don't know what's typical. It seemed okay for Amazon, but I could have waited and got it much cheaper on AliExpress. As you are the most experienced Trident person, is it financially makes sense to buy Trident kit, or if I have resources and time, will make to source it myself? The problem, self-sourcing gives you the advantage of knowing exactly what you're getting, right? The problem that comes up is you're making multiple orders, paying multiple shipping costs. I don't want to say buy a kit because there's a lot of gotchas with that as well. But that's the biggest, I think that's the biggest argument for a kit versus self-sourcing, is you're probably going to get a cheaper price if you're concerned most with cost by buying a kit. CRS1, I'm in and out of the stream today, or you have some Ender switch wire conversions coming up? I'm planning on it. I got to fit it into the schedule, but it's on my list of projects. Okay, we're going to save the TO220 device. These are the components. They should hold in place when I turn this over. And we'll hold them in place to solder them. Hi, Tessic from Austria. Okay. I think having the HDMI output was a feature that's not always, isn't present on all of them, which raised the price a little bit. Fan back up here, turn it on. Oop. There we go. Little finicky connection. Oh. There we go. Kenneth, 150C or 135C thermofuse. The 125, I'd go 135. You're not too far off of there before you're reaching the limit of the adhesive. Okay, let's get some soldering done. So for soldering at the basic level without a full tutorial, you want to make sure that your iron, the tip is hot enough to melt the solder. If it's too cold, you're going to have a hard time putting enough heat into the joint to create a good shiny solder joint. I frequently clean the tip, and I use one of these brass brush Brillo pad type things, but a sponge with a little bit of water works as well. So, and then a little bit of tin, tiny tin on the solder tip, and then feed the solder into the joint, not directly to the tip. And then you end up, I don't know how good of a view that is, but I will show a better view on the other camera when I'm done. And just work your way around. Okay, so we're looking for, let me switch glasses and cameras. So on these solder joints, we're looking for full coverage of the pad, and we're looking for shiny. If a solder joint is not good, it'll have a very matte finish. So all of those up here, let me double check my, yeah, I'm happy with all of those. So now we're just going to take our snips, and you don't want to, these are flush cutters. If you really get flush, you're going to cut too much. You want to cut it right where the wire starts. And these will go flying. So wear eye protection. I'm just putting my finger in the way. If you do a lot of component stuff, you end up saving these cuts, the extra leads, and so you can use them as jumpers. Yep. All that looks good, and all the components are on. So now, Andrew, what was or is your profession? IT services and support. Currently, I manage a IT service and support group, but I started in, just computer repair, computer sales stuff. But I've worked for the state of California for the past 25 years. Some solders stay matte even if you have a good joint, no matter what you do. Some of the lead-free solder, probably, this is the good stuff. So I'd be looking at just making sure you have a good fillet. So solder will form a fillet when it's good, and full coverage. You want to make sure, sometimes on a bad solder joint, you can actually see a gap between the lead and the solder itself. So Dead Bob, thanks for becoming a member. Okay, so let's go back to the pictures. Don't need this anymore. Okay, so let's go with the we got 150 people here, huh? That's awesome. Is it? Oh yeah. Wow. Shouldn't I be wearing gloves? I didn't get burned. You lose too much feel. I'm not, meh. Per my experience, that profession makes you very respectful to non-experienced people. There is definitely a skill to good customer service, and that's what I've been doing for many, many, many years. Oh no, dripped a little coffee on my shirt. Okay, that's done. Just wash my hands after handling the solder. Don't lick my fingers. Most lead from soldering is hand to mouth. That makes sense. So I won't lick my fingers. I should have been wearing an apron for the coffee. That's okay. Okay. Let's go with let's do the step stick. Let's do the step stick pieces. So these, I'm going to flip this over, and these are the step stick pieces, and I'm just going to hold this in place. And I'm going to do a little bit of finger gymnastics to get this done. So let's turn that on. Where are we at? Not air. This is rosin core solder. I use flux if I have trouble with a solder joint, but usually for PCB assembly, I haven't needed flux on its own. I'm only gonna solder one side of these because I want to make sure they're straight before I commit. I mean, I'm only gonna solder one pin, so I'm trying to hold it straight with my one finger, holding it up against the PCB, but I want to confirm it's straight before I finish. So I'm going to put these all on. Oh, and I might have wanted to do the little 2-pin ones first, but oh well, we'll figure it out. Where are we at? Hi, Freak. Welcome. For headers, I like to plug the device into them to ensure everything lines up nicely. That's a good idea. Where do I have a bunch of step sticks? I think I've got a couple of step sticks in here. That's probably a really good idea. That'll solve the issue with the I'm gonna grab a couple of these Bizetic steppers that came with the Spider. Sorry for the crinkly noises. There we go. Wow, these are really packaged. There we go. Just need 2 of them. That is a good idea. Let's catch up. Here, all the cool YouTubers wear aprons. Yeah. Adam Savage and Nero. I don't know if I'm at that level yet. Typically in SMT or repair, we dread the outside leads to hold it in place and free both hands. Dread? Spread? Is that what you meant? Just try to catch up on chat. It's going quick. Sorry if you covered it earlier. I just arrived. There was a printable jig for soldering the components sockets on that board. Oh, there is. You're absolutely right. I forgot about that. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to continue the course. So as suggested, I'm going to plug these in with this 2-pin connector that's used for the whatever those pins are, the diag pin or the whatever you call it, I forget. That in there. This is a good idea though. Now they're all held in place and I can just solder it. There is, you're absolutely right. I forgot about that. There is a printed jig. The printer cam is a little bit laggy. Yeah, sometimes I even notice that on my feed. I forgot it was up there though. Let's go ahead and turn it off. And that was a Voron 2.4 that's printing. It's my green 2.4 that's printing those parts. Your bench says that you're a level... I think your bench, it's half of Nero's age. Probably is. Watch the correct orientation. Yeah, I think that's... The correct orientation on those step sticks gets defined by the 2 pins and the header that's there, so we're good. John Stern, maybe True Masters don't need an apron, but I think I proved otherwise by spilling coffee on my shirt. Solder heat won't kill the step stick? No, not at all. We're not going to put nearly enough heat into this to even make the step stick warm. Don't worry about that. That's not a problem. Okay, get the fan going. I don't know if any of the smoke coming from this is visible on camera. It's kind of neat seeing it. So all of those are nice and straight now, so I don't have to worry about anything but just to go through and solder these. If you look really close, when you got heat on this and you first touch just a little bit of solder, you can watch the heat wick the solder into the joint. So you'll see me kind of double touch these often because I haven't seen that. So I'm waiting for it to happen. So I'll touch it and then you can see it wick into the joint, and then I'll add just a little bit more to create that fillet on top. Then I know I've got a nice deep into the via solder joint. Maybe I need a bib. Okay, I think I got them all. .3D printed apron would be like one of those 3D printed fabrics. That would be kind of cool, like a 3D printed chainmail. You can kind of see it on this camera. Nice and straight. Step sticks can come out now. And after that, I mean, I can feel them. I can feel a little bit of warmth on the pins, but it's not hot by any means. Hi, Ken. Welcome. Also, you can see the smoke. That's good. It's working. Yes, I will clean it afterwards. I'll use some IPA, probably. Okay, what do we want to put on here next? I guess we will go with the little JST connectors. Yep, I'll use IPA on it after. We got lots of connectors and stuff to solder. So let's go with the JSTs. These have in the solder mask the orientation, so the it's printed to match. So for instance, that goes like that on there. That's okay, Ken. We're only doing stuff. Okay, so let's put this in here. And this one, I'm gonna do the whole little fold it with my finger trick. But it's a nice big surface area, so I'm pretty confident that everything will be straight and flush. So let's switch the glasses. This is actually really nice, this fan. I wish I would have done this last time I was doing a lot of soldering. Oops. Okay, let that cool so it holds in place, and then we can get the other ones. There we go. Okay, so let's be a little more methodical about this. Let that cool, and then get the rest. Encoder, end stop. Ken, thanks for becoming a member. I am very much looking forward to a members only stream. I'm not sure what day is the best. It'll probably just be a Saturday morning. Same time as these are, just on Saturday. And it's some periodic interval. And John, thanks for becoming a member. Will there be members only jackets? No members jackets, maybe one day. Got a little bit of, a couple of these are a little off in terms of not sitting straight, and that bug functionally is fine, but it's bugging me a little bit, so I'm just heating up the pads and tweaking them. There we go. Let's see. Ken, John, Keith, thanks for becoming a member. 007 FPV, thanks for becoming a member. Maybe some more likes will also be good. We're doing pretty good. I feel pretty good about that. We're at about a 60% ratio there. Okay, so the two 4 pins for the steppers. Oh, and have it strong enough in the vise. Okay, let me make sure that's straight so I don't have to straighten it next time. Okay, that's good. Oh yeah, Bradley, thanks for becoming a member. And what is this? This is the last JST connector. Make sure that's straight. What is the current member count? Don't know. Let's find out here in a second. Okay. Oh, lots of leaning over. Charlie's laying, I have the door open, so there's a nice, like, primo spot of sun that he's laying in now. Watching TV while my wife is putting together IKEA shelves, fun. Watching me reminds her when I used to watch Leo Laporte on Tech TV. Can you say hi to my wife, Rachel? Hi, Rachel. Charlie is sleeping next to the door now, an array of sunshine. Let's see. Just to satisfy. Here, we can get a cat cam. Oh, that's bright. See? It's so comfortable you can barely even see him. And this is my little janky extra fan setup. Let's see. What do we have here? It appears we are at 47. See you, Nadir. Cool Breeze, thanks for becoming a member. Yeah, he is in heaven right now. He is very much liking that spot. Okay, let's see what do we got to do next. Looks like we have a jumper, a pin header. It's 5 pins. Are there any other jumpers that go on? No. So we have a 5-pin header that the kit came with. Let me reset my solder cam. Maybe there. Okay. Switch to a middle finger. Oh, that one did burn. I had to move my finger. I should have done a different, I should have held a different pin. That was my bad. So I've got solder in that spot. I'm going to use the handy dandy vacuum solder sucker to try to clear that out. Nope, I didn't get a good. Sometimes it helps to put extra solder there. There we go. This is I saw this and I couldn't resist. It's an Engineer solder sucker, and it's all machined aluminum, and it wasn't too expensive, so I went for it. But cool little soldering tool. Okay, let's try that again. This time I won't hold the hot one. Weave, thanks for becoming a member. Better in the sun than on the counter playing with small components. That's true. See you, Nathan. Thanks for being here. The, oops, I grabbed the wrong ones. Does my kit have extra headers so I don't have to solder the MCU directly? The MCU did come with, came with headers itself. Okay, this time I'm gonna put my finger over on the other side of that thing. Now, all of this is saved if you print the little jig that I didn't think to print. All of this would be held in place. Okay, that's better. Now let's see if it's straight. It's nice and straight, so let's solder the rest of them. There we go. Stop? What am I stopping? Oh, a tool put. Yes, I like tools. My dad was a mechanic, so it's kind of in my DNA. Put the jumpers on it, you shouldn't burn yourself. I think it would still poke through, but that's okay. I really should be using the little jig they made. They went through the effort to make it, and I didn't think to install it or to print it. Cool. The thing I liked about this, so I have a couple of, let me start over. I've got a couple of solder pumps, desoldering pumps. I have this one that I've had for like 20 years and it still works. It works fine. It's a hard tip though. What appealed to me about this is it's got a little soft silicone tip, so it helps make a better seal around the part. And it does seem to. .007 FPV, I love the way you go about your stream, so organized and knowledgeable. I've been following along more or less with this build, so I should have a working ESCF after this. Awesome. I feel a little scatterbrained, but that's just my nature. I appreciate that people can follow along. Should order some extra tips for the sucker in case you didn't already, you will end up needing them. Yeah. Just like a mechanic, always tool to buy. Always a tool to buy. John, thanks for becoming a member. Okay, so we've got the main power. So that just goes on there. This one will be easy to hold in place because there's nothing really to get hot. That is there. This is going to take a little more heat though, a lot bigger pad. I want to try to hold that. I'm going to hold it like that. Let's go for the, so the ground, pin is going to be slightly more difficult to solder because it is thermally connected and electrically connected to the ground plane, so more heat is going to get soaked away. So I'm going to start with the positive side of this just to get and this is take a lot of solder because it's a big pad and a big pin. But and I'm holding it in place for a while to make sure that it cools down enough so it doesn't move when I let my finger go. So now I'll hit the ground side. And it may not be significantly more difficult, but it is thermally different. There we go. The trick with soldering sucker is not to overheat the PCB. Yeah, for sure. Andrew, this is a Panavice. It's the same brand. Oh, the sticker's not there anymore. So it's a Panavice PCB vise with the little tool base. I bought this probably close to 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, when I was doing Mega Squirt electronics. It's the same brand as this little bench vise that I use. Panavice. I think I bought this from Fry's Electronics, if I remember right. So this wasn't even an online purchase. So those turned out nice and shiny and a good fillet on them. So the last component will be this, well, besides the MCU, will be this TO220 voltage regulator. I'm just going to probably bend those pins just off to the side a little bit to hold that in place. Otherwise, there's not much to that. Fry's is not open in my area. They closed right after the pandemic started. I mean, they were on their way out well before that. I don't know the whole story. I think there's some controversy and drama involved. But they went to some consignment setup for a while and finally just folded. Their stores were so cool though, and being able to check stuff out in person. It's definitely a loss. They're basically, for anybody who's not familiar, they're similar to a Micro Center. I don't know what the equivalent might be in other parts of the world. Fry's has been questionable on customer service for a long time, a very long time. But it has been nice to be able to go in and physically see things. If you don't need customer service when you're going there, you have a better experience. I'm going to shift these a little bit, if it'll let me get enough heat into it. There we go. Now it's sitting up a little straighter. Freak, thanks for becoming a member. Yeah, I've built many PCs from Fry's specials. Okay. The last remaining component on this is the processor. Now, the question is, do I want to do the headers or do I want to direct solder it? Now, I've kind of backed myself into a corner because it would be very difficult, I think, at this point to direct solder it. Maybe I'll use the headers. The fun thing about fries is there was a 10% chance the item you bought had been returned as defective and put back on the shelf. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Later, I don't know if they always did it, but later they had a little sticker on there at least, so you could tell. We used to have a micro center in the Bay Area over here. I don't know if it still exists or not. So I'm taking these headers and I'm pushing the black plastic piece that holds it. I'm pushing it down a little bit so I can actually get it through, have something to solder to on the other side here. Then I'm going to do that, and then put the processor on, and then solder it. So I'm going to do that to both of these, and it doesn't have to be precise because I'm going to end up snipping them anyway. Just pushing the plastic piece there a bit. I'm going to do that. I'm going to set the processor on here, and now I can hold that with my finger and not get burned. No more? They used to have one. It's probably been at least 12 years since I've been to it. Okay, let's go ahead and solder that one, and solder that one, and that one. And that locks it in place. Now this can come off, or it can stay on. It doesn't matter. Nope. Come off on its own. Okay. And now this, I think I'm going to take the advice and make sure that this piece is functional first before soldering it onto here. Make sure I can flash clipper to it. So we'll probably come back and solder that on as a last step. So that is the easy board assembly, which is probably made much easier if you actually print the jig that is provided. If you go to, and I've forgotten about this, go up here. Where was it? I thought was it here, or was it on the, yeah, soldering jig? You go to soldering jig, there is a piece where you can put all these parts in and solder from there. Where are we at? And we're at 2 hours. We're doing good. Okay, so easy board done. We have a toolhead PCB. I've received this from the same person. I could use headers, but I'm just going to solder it there. I'm going to use the pieces and parts that the setup came with. Okay, so this is the ERCF version of the toolhead board. There's two things I'm doing here. So this is the afterburner and clockwork or Galileo and all that version. So that'll bolt to the side of the extruder here. I might as well go back to this. I need to print a new piece, a new motor plate, because for the second hole. Later, I'll switch to Clockwork 2 on all of this and use a Clockwork 2 version of the PCB. But right now we're doing Galileo and old style, current style PCB. Ooh. Stop and buy something I don't really need. Would have thought the CPU would have headers like a stepper. No, I mean, the intent is to direct solder it, even without these headers. It has the, what do you call the side access, whatever, pads? Has the pads extend all the way to the side, so I could have soldered those directly flush with the board to where it's a little sandwich. So we will be using the, does that work with the stealth burner? We'll be using the Galileo extruder with a stealth burner front. And later, I'll switch it over to a Clockwork 2 once it's out of beta. Where the switch wire currently is the Bowden dual Y adapter splitter setup. Clockwork 2 will not work with the Galileo gears. It's a different setup. It's a different configuration. Okay. Next drink. Okay. So this came with some of these, the microfit stuff already popped into the board. Has all the female side connectors on here. I'm just going to take all those out. This is going to be a quick assembly. Is there a PCB mount for the Galileo? I can't find one anywhere. Well, this is the normal wire cover mount. It uses one, and then there is a piece here. I just forgot to print it. The motor plate has a heat set spot for it. I would look at Kyle's Hartk's repos for those parts. Okay, so I'm just gonna plug this is the extra conductors for the ERCF stuff. Normal tool head boards have this 14-pin connector, and then this is an extra connector for the for that Hall effect sensor, for the filament sensor, for the ERCF. So those in. Let's go ahead and solder those first. Turn my fan back on. There we go. Castellated solder pads. Okay, thanks for that. I'd heard that term before, I just couldn't remember it. Heat up the soldering iron again. Hopefully this is useful. I'm at a point in this project where right after this, we're going to be waiting on a wiring harness for the switch wire to continue. That should be here, might be here before next weekend. Okay, so we have 14 pins here, and the connector has little plastic standoffs to kind of hold it in place. So even so, I usually solder the opposing corners first, and then make sure everything looks good and is nice and straight. So I solder this pin and then the opposite pin first. And then once I confirm everything's good, I'll go through and solder the rest. like I mentioned before, I put a little bit of solder and then watch it'll wick into the via, into the hole, the pinhole, and then just a little bit more to generate that shiny fillet. Okay, next one. A little more strength there. Stuart, thanks for coming a member. There's only 2 there, so I'm assuming that's lined up and good. And then the last one, let's go here. Open RC build with Sun, fun. I have an older iPad Air 2. I think I'm going to figure out how to use it for Clipper screen. The 2.4 is done. So you can just open the mainsail or fluid page directly from that iPad and just control it, right? Or are you thinking about actually mounting it to the printer? Okay, so that is the hot end connector, the filament sensor extra wires for the ERCF, and then the main tool head board. Now, same thing, all of these JST sockets go in with the indicator there matching the part. Awesome, Stuart. I'm proud to be your first member channel. Former paid up member of IMAP's International Microelectronics Assembly and Packaging Society. John Stern, I've been trying to get a newly built keyboard to work correctly. D-bounce problem's fun. Does iOS handle local DNS better than Android? I don't know. Chris, thanks for becoming a member. Hi Nadir, welcome back. Okay, so same deal. Are the SMD components already soldered on? I don't think there are any on this. It has a through hole built-in BAT85 diode that was pre-soldered. Oh, there is all the chamber thermistor is already soldered on, an LED is already soldered on, and a resistor is already soldered on. So yes, I hadn't noticed these over here. I'd noticed the BAT85 diode here. Remember stream RC print and build? Well, I got to do that on the regular streams. I don't want to, like I said, don't want to gatekeep any content. It'll mostly be probably Q&A, extra casual hangout, feedback into the channel. I want to solicit feedback for what's going on, what kind of things to do next. I mean, it's all stuff that I absolutely accept feedback in these streams as well, but that's just kind of a dedicated time for it. Just making sure these are straight because I want them to be straight, lined up. Nice and straight. Ludwig, thanks for becoming a member. Oh, correct spelling of castellations. Castellations. Castellation. Perfect. Extra casual hangout. Steve in the yard on a lawn chair with a beer chatting it up. Unfortunately, they'd have to be too early for a tasty beverage to be involved. I mean, I know it's 5 o'clock for some of you or thereabouts, but 10 a.m. here, 10 to noon or so, that's a little early. That one I got the first try. Okay, 2 more, 3 more. And we are good with this. Be aware that the solder jumpers on the ERCF board have a default setting already connected. Check voltages before use. Yep. And thank you for the reminder. I will make sure we check all this stuff. Oh, these solder jumpers. Yep. I was thinking the Easy board too has some jumpers on it. Okay, I'm going to solder just, these are 3-pin. I'm soldering just the outside 2 pins. And I have it straight, so now I'll do the center one. $21.33 here, so we're doing good, right? It's a work night for most people. I'm taking the 3rd long weekend in a row. I've had 4-day weekends the last 2 before this, and I'm doing it again this weekend. So, perfect. I'm getting good at this. Bank holiday there tomorrow. It's a good day then. So what percentage of the country doesn't work tomorrow? Is that like 100%, or are there some common industries that can't stop? I mean, obviously medical and stuff like that, but what percentage ends up not working on a bank holiday? Okay, last one. Sliding. I've got a very long time. I may have a lot of gray hairs, Bill, sliding towards retirement. I may have a whole lot of gray hairs, but I have a very long time till retirement. I am probably not as old as I look, although not as young as I'd like to be. Let's see. Today was a Labor Day here in Romania. Okay. Most shops are open, not a lot completely closed, often reduced opening hours. Okay. So very similar to, I mean, we've got Memorial Day coming up here, and then later in September, we have Labor Day. So those are probably very similar. $50? No, I'm not 50. I'm 45. So 11 years before you can hit early retirement with your company and keep a full pension. Yeah, I've got 10 years until I could, at the very earliest, I could retire and have a full pension. But I've probably got a few more years beyond that. PF Dennis retired last month. Congratulations. Two more years, counting the hours, yeah. Did I lower? No? the mic changed positions. Does that help? Does that help at all? Or did I unconnect it? Let's see. It's my levels are still coming up to the same amount. I think it's shifted because I don't have it clipped anywhere. So far, it's worked well to just kind of let it hang into this area behind my shirt. Okay, so I think that's all there is to assembling that. All the connectors are nice and straight. I know that's not the greatest camera there. And then I'll clean these up later with some IPA. Okay, let's clean up a little bit. A little chatting. And I'll probably pull the cover off the switch wire here and just start removing its harness. So for the next half an hour or so of the stream. So let me put some things away. I'm very pleased with how my little makeshift exhaust fume fan worked out. Just use the little, those were a little finicky. I had to adjust them, if you saw, to make sure they connected, but I'll get something a little more permanent later. Put that away. Set this down here. Do a little bit of work area cleanup for a second. This is my project box. So let's get all of our connectors that we're going to need in here. We don't lose those. Put those in there. Put that in there just in case. Galileo tool head, a couple of step sticks. We don't need any of these extra pieces here now because I am so pleased with, I mean, these are what I bought. These are the washers from Volt Depot. This cost all of, I think, $1.75 for 100 washers. Product ID 4524. It's the same part that links from the ERCF bomb. But those made such a difference. Huge. Director of the optical engineering team at GoPro. Awesome, John. At some point, I want to put my GoPro as an overhead cam. Because I started the stream, my main camera was a GoPro. And at some point, I'd like to repurpose it for an overhead cam. But right now, I'm still having trouble with running multiple cam links. Multiple cam links on this setup aren't happy. So I'm exploring options for what I do with that. Okay. Working on making some space here, so bear with me. Yeah, see, my Hero 9 with media kit that I used to use here, but I want to put it up here. I think that would work really well. I am streaming from a laptop. It's a Dell XPS. It's really nice, really well spec'd. And then I have their Thunderbolt dock. But something about it, I've gone through all the settings, trying to make it work. I need to explore it a little further though. All the regular suggestions have not helped. You can put a close-up lenses on your Hero 9 for close-up stuff too. Yeah, I think I've got a couple of lenses. I need to look at all the stuff I bought when I first got it. I'm really happy. I mean, the quality, the image quality and all that was good. Most of any problems I had, I think had to do with the cam link stuff. Have fun, Chris. Thanks for being here. Okay. So all of this is now in this project box. Set this aside. Clean those up later. Oop, put the soldering iron on. Okay. Let's start prepping the switch wire. Because if we don't do it now, we're going to have to do it later. And we have time now. Okay. So let's start by taking the second M4 extruder off. And then the enclosure off. So remember last time we pulled one of the previous streams, we pulled the first M4 extruder off because I needed to steal the stepper for the ERCF. Oops, I don't want to do that. I want to reach in. And disconnect the wiring here. There we go. Disconnect stepper wiring before we pull this off. Hey, Joseph. Okay. And now just taking off the cover. Lots of parts. Joseph, thanks for becoming a member. Yep. On this edition of Steve Unbuilds, take apart a switch wire. That would be I wonder if a good shirt design of some sort with something being pulled apart and unbuilds. Seem to have a good viewers to members ratio today. Yeah, thank you everybody. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the input, the interaction. That's what this is all about. I mean, really, that just adds another layer, another level of personal interaction and social interaction. Okay, let's put this out of the way. So I said I use Prusa Mint Orange or, oh, Prusa Mint. Prusa Mint, unless that's a voice to text error. I used Prusa Mint Orange because when we were developing this, I was converting, I used most of the parts from a Prusa Mark III. So I figured it was appropriate to use Prusa Orange. We introduced webcam over USB after the pandemic hit and there was a shortage of webcams. Yeah. Steve builds cult. Okay. All this stuff. Not a cult. Not a cult. Community. It's all about community. What would be a drawback for a switch wire versus the other Voron printers? In terms of what? What kind? In terms of the ERCF? In terms of general design capabilities? Yeah, I like the word community. It's something that, in general, the Voron community has been growing so fast and is so strong. I'm really glad to be a part of it. In terms of picking a Voron. So, Brian, thanks for coming, member. The switch wire is definitely the quickest build, the easiest build, so to speak. In ranking, it's probably Switchwire, then Trident, then 2.4, then V0. I found a local and new Ender 3 for $150. What do you say is local and new for $150? Doesn't sound too bad. I'll have a better opinion on Ender 3 to Switchwire conversions after I do one. And I'm planning on it. Can you spec a larger build volume for a Switchwire? Yeah, you just have to figure out the bed stuff. Everything else would scale fine. Aside from limitations of you're flinging a bed around and the heavier it gets, the more compromises you have to have in your print settings. Okay, let's take this stuff all apart. So the legacy is, I didn't really mean to forget it because I actually had it in my mind when I was listing that. The thing about legacy is it's really a legacy in all senses of the term. It doesn't have a manual. There's CAD, and that's how Vorons were built at first before the manuals were available. So you get the more classic legacy experience by building a legacy. Oh, that screw got caught by the magnet. Okay. Most of this wire going to the tool head is all silicone wire. It's fine. It hasn't failed. But since I'm doing all of this, like I said, I reached out to Lineo, and they are sending me a harness and we'll be using a tool head board as well. So all of that off. That can stay there for now. And then we're going to probably snip all these zip ties first. And remove the cable chain. I'm just gonna completely rewire this thing. Step one, just unbuild. Step one is to unbuild. Where did my little screwdriver go? Doesn't work. Where'd it go? I was putting tools away, but the... Where'd Charlie go? Oh, he's even further into the switch unwired. That's exactly true. Good, good. I like that. Frenzied Narwhal. The switch unwire. Congratulations, Bill. That's the first step. Spousal approval to build a printer. Where is... I have a really tiny flathead screwdriver that I use for undoing these chains. Oh, there it is. Steve rebuilds. At some point, that's probably going to be the kind of content that's here, because I only have so much room for new builds. So we're going to have to rebuild. Can we unclicky the switch unwire? Well, part of this whole series at some point is to do the whole bed, the bed level thing, the restricted zones and clipper and all that kind of stuff. That's on the plan for this whole thing, and to compare a inductive probe to a micro switch style probe. Yes, thanks, Modbot. I had known, I was familiar that Tessa tape existed. I've just never gotten around to ordering it, and I'd forgotten that that was probably the better recommendation for that. I need to get some. I'll put it on my next Amazon order. Okay, one chain gone. Ha ha ha. Got a Trident. What next Voron should I build? I think a V0 is a good build. It's a lot of fun build, and you can fit it just about anywhere. And then my totally biased opinion is build a Trident. Tessa tape is an electrical tape. It's a cloth electrical tape. TESSA. Oh, did Ivan Miranda finally release the next video in that series? I love his stuff. He's nuts. He lost me a while when he was doing the instrument stuff, but he's back to the tank, and I'm all on board. Bill, you did not enjoy building the V0? It gets a lot easier when you're on your fourth one. I've got a knot of hammer here. Unclicky is supposed to be more accurate than clicky. Yeah, I've seen some of the chatter on that. I have not looked at it closely yet, though. The unclicky stuff. I think it's interesting, and I'm curious what comes of it. But I haven't taken the time to really look into it. But Tessa tapes are standard for tape testing that test film adhesion, that doesn't use the cloth type. Okay. Where's this? Where are you? There you are. The only problem with the tank is when children see it and want one. Yeah. That off. Nope, one more. Oh, come on. Where are you at? I'm trying to do this without actually looking. Oh, where's my flashlight? There we go. Square nuts are so much easier to line up screws too. Unfortunately, I forgot about them until I was done. Yeah, on my V0 builds, I definitely like using the square nuts over the hex nuts in the frame. Last one. I used all three. Tracy, look up Ivan Miranda on YouTube. Here, because it's worth it. If you haven't discovered Ivan Miranda, prepare yourself for some YouTube binging. Oops, I didn't. Ivan Miranda. Where is the, here, let's just do this. Absolutely worth watching. But yeah. Let's look. What is his, oh, where'd my mouse go? Oh, good. 5 hours ago. I know what I'm doing after stream. Spacers. Hi. Hey, Tim. How goes it? Yeah, he's going to show up on everyone's YouTube suggestion, whether you know him or not, now that we've talked about it. That's the way it works, right? Okay. 2 cable chains. Ha ha ha. Then my... Oh, the extruder wires I won't need anymore. Awesome, Tim. Hopefully we don't run into that little glitch again. Or did Tin fix it? ATF. ATF has entered the chat. Who's ATF? Did someone say NeoPixel? Is that what happened? Ivan got me into 3D printing off the back of mentions in the Project Binky series. Yeah, there's a few people on the team that really follow the Project Binky series as well. Okay. I think before we go back underneath, I need to pull the key back to get this wire through here, I think. Yeah, that's not going to go through otherwise. It will go through otherwise. We're not going to be reusing this, so we're going to do that. And then we can just pull it through. Okay. Okay, let's see. Good. Knock enough things off there. When it fails, it does nothing but blink. When it works, it does a normal 3 in, 3 out thing. I have not used a BL Touch in quite some time. I used to use one on my CR10. Okay. What do you think? That's pretty clean. I'm pretty pleased with the setup there. I don't know if we can get a better shot of it. Yeah. Oh boy, I've got lots of zip ties to cut though to get through and redoing. In order to get all these wires out, everything has to come out. That one can stay. That's the MOSFET board. All of these have to go though. So because I was doing the dual extruder Y adapter setup, I needed a 5-driver board. So this is a SKR 1.4 turbo is what's on here. And that's what's gonna stay. I'm not gonna bother swapping it out. It works fine. So, but we just need to pull all of these zip ties and wires. We get to start all over with the new harness. Come on, pop out. There we go. And one more. This will end up being as clean, or it should be as clean when I'm done. Might be even cleaner. It'll be easier. The PTFE wire is just a little easier to deal with the silicone wire is just kind of sticky, you know, not really sticky, but sticks to itself. Might have to double check a few firmware configurations, pinouts and stuff, depending on how well I keep it the same. That is all of that. There we go. My harness. Oops, 2. Moving wires, I do PTFE and silicone for non-moving parts. So this was originally built in June of 2020. We hadn't moved to the silicone wire recommendation at that point. And it looks like that's the thermistor wire. I'm going to leave that there for now. Just tuck it out of the way. But that is pretty much the wiring, or at least the wiring that'll be changed. The rest of this doesn't have to change. The stepper wires, the AC wiring, all of this is going to stay the same. We're just going to swap in the PTFE or the Hefluon, how do you say it, that Lineo uses. Speaking of silicone wires, so are they the substandard to the PTFE wire? Yeah, you want to use, in our cable chains and move wires that are moving in a cable chain and stuff, you want to use the PTFE if you can, or some sort of FEP, PTFE, Hefluon. Probably saying that wrong. Brent, thanks for becoming a member. What is the little board under the pie? Go back to that. That is, so this board here is just a basic cheap MOSFET board off of Amazon. It powers the fan, the intake fan, and I'm using one of the end stop pins to trigger this from a 24 volt source because there aren't enough. I wanted to be able to control this. I wanted to be able to slow it down because it's too loud at full speed. So there aren't enough controllable outputs, fan outputs on the SKR 1.4. So I added one with that board. Well, let's put the, oops. Put the bottom cover back on just so I can put the feet and stuff. So I don't have to slide the bare extrusions or the screws on it. Probably wrap things up. Is it just where you mount it? That's where people have issues mounting it too close to the, oh, you're talking about the BL Touch still. What board do you recommend for Trident? Well, any of the boards with at least 6 stepper drivers will work. The most common one lately is definitely the Octopus. The Spider 2.2 I had installed in this printer. And it was working fine, so I don't have any complaints about at least the 2.2 version of the Spider. But there's a whole bunch of them that have come out that I can't give a recommendation one way or another, but there are a lot of options out there. So Okay, so this is torn down. Well, mostly. Let's finish this. Oh yeah, we'll go in from the back. I'm so used to working on a Clockwork 2 now, pulling the screws in from the front, but let's pull this off. Who makes a good Voron red for accent colors? Well, I mean, the best Voron red is probably the KVP stuff. Just because that's the spec, but I don't know who else makes a really good red. Paramount Enzo red was good, but the latest roll I bought was a little paler than the first one. There's a lot of reds out there, but it's hard. I haven't tried them, so just looking at pictures online are tough because they always look more bold than in person. It has been unwired. We have been switch unwired. And it is pretty much this. Remember, we use the Revo Voron on this, and we'll leave it there. Continue to use Revo Voron on here. I'm just putting these on here because honestly, it's the best place for me to put it and not lose it. Oh, that's right. The new Filament ASA red. I have a roll. I need to print with it because it looks like it's going to be really nice. Yeah, Paramount Enzo red seems to be paler in their latest batches. That's also true of their iron red. So I'm wondering if they're having trouble with the pigment and trying to make it go further. There it is. I have a roll of, this is the Filament lipstick red that I really want to print. I just haven't opened it yet. Is it M3x8 in the top of the Revo Voron? Yes, it is. 007 FPV. What is the rotation distance on Clockwork 2? I've got mine running fine. Just would like to compare with my current setting, see if it got it right. It's going to be somewhere around 22.6. It's going to be the same as Afterburner. Your rotation distance is going to be the same. Your gear ratio getting there is going to be different. So make sure you specify a gear ratio at 10 to 50. And then your rotation distance will be the 22.6 something or thereabouts. And then you'll want to tune that. You'll want to actually do your little filament extrusion and measurement to fine tune that. I highly recommend using the rotation distance configurations because you could say it's a 1-to-1 and then tune your rotation distance is going to be some way off other number. But putting that gear ratio in there and putting a proper rotation distance for the size of the extruder gears is going to make more sense and be easier to troubleshoot and work with later. Thanks for being here, John. Have a good one. Alex, the Filament ASA Sapphire Blue also looks nice. I bought that too. I gotta get some prints done on it on several filaments. So yeah, we're good for today. We'll spend a few more minutes chatting as long as people want to chat. Then we'll call it. Spend another 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. Yeah, this Y setup was interesting. I had a hard time tuning good print quality based on just the long Bowden. I'm really looking forward to putting a direct drive back on here and being in more familiar tuning territory for me. There's one reason I switched to just not having the requirement of printing that RC on just my Legacy, because I was having a hard time getting that last little bit of quality out of it. When I threw a part at one of my Tridents and it turned out wonderful first try. Just because I'm used to the tuning and I don't know that I've got so many things I want to do, it's hard to focus on that long enough to get it to the point where I'd want it to be. So, I think next weekend we'll be back on this. I'm hoping the wiring harness is here. If it's not, I'm going to have to think of something else. There's also the possibility of a printer build coming up. So, and that when that comes up, it's going to interrupt this. However, I won't go on to other projects besides a build until I've finished this and we've configured and printed with the ERCF. That's my commitment. We're going to interrupt it, but it's not going to get interrupted for long. Buggy status. I've still been printing parts. I've got, I ran into a little roadblock with some print quality on the Prusament Galaxy Silver I was using for the silver parts, but I need to get back to that. But otherwise, most of it's printed. We're not too far off from being able to use that as kind of that'll end up being a stream that I'll work on when I don't have a printer project going on, when I'm looking for something to do and hang out. This textured black panel is just standard ABS panel. At least the stuff available in the US, most of it is textured on one side and glossy on the other side. The glossy side tends to get cloudy and scratched. So the good looking side is always the textured side. Two Brothers Plumbing. Yeah, the variety of videos, I want this to be projects I want to work on. It's not always going to be a Voron build. It's not always going to be even a printer thing. It's things that I want to work on, and hopefully in general, build techniques and stuff are kind of universal. So hopefully it's useful no matter what. So yeah, I tend to like the textured ABS side. The matte acrylic panels with the LDO kits aren't bad. They tend to attract fingerprints. And the ACM panels, like from Printed Solid, I've got that on another printer. Those are nice, but this is kind of where my preference is, I think. It breaks up the light pretty well. Got my shipping number for your Lineo harness, just came through, hopefully on the way tomorrow. Awesome. See ya, Alex. Hey, Pex Peppers. So, yeah, this will be fun. I'm glad to choose this because this will get more use on the Trident. I just got to figure out. I mean, it's going to have to sit here. Oh, I didn't show you guys that, right? So some of you may not have seen. I am in love with my new filament setup. Let's go here. So the last couple of the last stream was building this rep box, and I've still got a few things to finish up on it. But it's fitting well and it's in place. But this rep rack based, what is it? 44 rolls capacity, replacing that white wire rack I had here before. I love this. This is so nice and so convenient. It actually gives me all my most used filaments I can put here, so they're right next to the printer. All the darks, all the blacks, the common accents. I'm pleased. And it is a mess over here. Did anyone ask Switchwire versus Trident? They both bed slingers. No, Trident is not a bed slinger. Trident is a it's similar to a Voron 2, except for the bed moves down. The gantry stays at the top. The bed moves down for your print. On a Voron 2, the bed stays in place and the gantry moves up for the print. I haven't opened up the silica gel for the rep box until I finish sealing it and getting it all set up. Hey, KB3D, welcome. And thanks for becoming a member. Yeah, Freak, there's only one. The switch wire is the only bed flinger. This was a side project of RCF's back when the pandemic started. And the cool thing about it is the Core XZ motion system, which is still pretty unique in the hobbyist space. That'll stay in place. Yeah, this is good. So I was a little worried whether we'd have a whole, I'm always worried if I'm gonna have a whole stream's worth of content, and it always works out fine. So. When I first built this and I was doing prints and stuff, I was getting some really good quality when I had just a regular afterburner on it and stuff. So now going back to having another direct drive system on it, I'm looking forward to bringing it back into the rotation, especially when I can put, maybe I'll put my other OSEC build surface on here. Have I seen the positron printer? I've heard about it. I've seen little bits and pieces of it, but I haven't had enough bandwidth, enough mental bandwidth to dive into looking at what it's all about. So Brant, the build that may interrupt the ERCF will be a Trident kit coming up. So it'll be the same as the 2.4 kit I did, where I was building a beta kit and the intent was to find problems and identify those. So that's the same type thing. We'll be going through looking for issues and taking notes and that. So. So upcoming will be that. As far as streams will be that. I'm still planning on building a solid fork. I'm collecting parts for that. The Ender to switch wire, I've got an Ender 3 Pro to switch wire conversion will be coming up. And yeah. And then I'm building two 2.4s, but I won't be doing those on stream. I think it's a bit of saturation in that area, but I will be recording them. So the intent will be, the first one I'm gonna just record the whole thing and see what it takes, and I'll probably do a time lapse of that build. And then the second one, I may do some smaller individual videos on it. We'll see. I convinced you to build an Ender, to buy the Ender 3 to convert to a switch wire. Have fun. I've heard a lot of people have success with that. So I don't know. I haven't looked close enough to see what the gotchas might be, but I'm gonna find out personally when I build one here. The Trident will be a 300. It'll be a 300 cubed. Jason has mentioned that publicly, so. See you, John. Thanks for being here. Yep. So I think we're going to wrap this up. Once again, just enabled YouTube memberships yesterday. The response has been overwhelming today. I want to thank everybody who joined. There's a very long list of you. That's huge. Thank you. So I think a question will be, let's see how many we ended up with today. 58, which is overwhelming. That's nuts. So look forward to more of these. we'll be back next weekend one way or another with something, and a long list of projects coming up. So once again, thanks again, and we will see you next weekend. Have a good rest of your weekend. Those of you who have bank holiday, yes, tomorrow, that kind of thing. Hope you have a good time. Talk to you later. Bye.